to need minerals. We're going to need copper. We're going to need silver. We're going to need cobalt. We're going to need nickel. We're going to need lithium. Well, how do you get all these minerals? You have to mine them. And what does mining entail? It entails the use of fossil fuels, diesel fuel, those tractor loaders, the crushers, all the things that you see, those big trucks that you see in these open pit mines that are around the world. All of that runs on diesel fuel. So as we're trying to make this transition to another energy system, we're still going to be needing fossil fuels to do this, and that's going to be oil. Chris, I want to move on to copper next, because copper, if you take a look at this net zero goal that we have by 2050, net zero begins and ends with copper. All infrastructure built to support renewable energy use large amounts of copper from the power grid, wind and solar farms, wind turbines. A wind turbine alone requires 8 tons of copper. EVs use about twice the amount of copper as a gasoline engine. And it's not just EVs, it's windmills, solar panels, it's electricity to power the cloud and AI. According to McKinsey, global electrification is expected to increase annual copper demand by 36.6 million tons by 2031. And we've gone from 4% copper consumption in 2020 to we'll be hitting somewhere between 17 and 20% copper consumption by 2030, which is going to require 54% more copper supply by 2030, and it doubles to 50 million by 2035. So right now, we've got global copper supply growing about 2.7%, and will only reach 31 million tons, which is a far cry from the 50. So we don't have enough copper production. We don't have enough copper mines. We haven't made, there's been a dearth of discoveries over the last 15 years. So there are fewer major copper deposits coming online. At the same time, we're going to have this tremendous demand surge coming from the energy sector. So, and that's not to mention the copper that's used in construction, from pipes to plumbing. And here's the thing that you have to understand. It takes 15, 20 years to bring a new mine into production. I'm thinking of the Resolution mine that BHP and Rio Tinto are trying to bring online in Arizona. That's been going on, the lawsuits and the regulations and all the things that they have to do with compliance for environmental studies. That's been going on over 10 years, and there's still nowhere close to bringing that mine in production. But if they do, that'd be a major mine. Problem is, the environmental movement is restricting the opening up of new mines. So, in fact, the International Copper Group says output of copper, which was about 21.8 million tons in 22, was an increase of just 1 million tons over 3 years. So if you take a look at this, I don't care if it's the IEA, the Copper Group, McKinsey, copper mines are only going to be able to meet 80% of the needed requirements to meet the demand for green energy. So to sum up, Chris, we're in an era of rising prices driven by supply deficits, rising demand from the sustainability, EVs, to global electrification, to even health concerns and green architecture. You cannot do green, AI, or the cloud without copper. So we could very easily see the price of copper double here by the end of the decade.
And Jim, you said that the environmental groups